Okay, so we are now recording.
Okay.
And let's see. Okay. So in about 3 minutes, we'll start the session officially, and I'll introduce you, and then you can take it from there.
Very good. Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, so just a quick update, everyone. A moderator is joining us and will be helping out with questions and chat. So thank you, Christopher, for joining us.
Hello,
There's going to
everyone.
be our moderator.
Hello, hello. Is my mic working?
Thank you,
Yes.
Christopher.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'll be here to moderate.
Will we get started, Chief?
Yes.
Okay. Very
Okay,
good.
so it is now 5:30, so we are going to begin. Okay, so welcome everyone. This is going to be one of the final sessions of the evening. Welcome to our web security workshop, Testing Like a Hacker. We're very happy to welcome Mike Landeck here, who will be helping us with this workshop and walking us through it every step of the way. Now, chat will be open, so if you have questions in the chat during this exercise, you can ask them there. And anyway, I'm going to hand it off to Mike now. Take it away, Mike. The floor is yours.
Great. Thank you, Chief. I'm going to go ahead and share out my screen. So before we start, the chat is open. I can't see the chat while I'm doing this. So Christopher, what I'd like you to do is look at the chats. And for those who are part of the webinar, if you're stuck, let Christopher know right away. And Christopher, if someone's stuck, please interrupt me. But we want people to have a good experience here. So if someone is stuck and can't progress, interrupt me no matter what. If in your judgment, the question can wait till natural break, so it's more of a general question, please go ahead and wait till there's a natural break. But if you're stuck, reach out to Christopher ASAP. Now, the most important part is this is the hands-on workshop, and we'll be using a tool called OWASP ZAP. It's from the OWASP project. It's their flagship software. This is an open source software, so it doesn't cost anything. It's written in Java, so it'll run on any platform. It'll run on your Mac, your Linux, your Windows, your Chromebook. It'll run anything. If you have not downloaded and installed this yet, go ahead and do it now while I'm talking. So it's vaproxy.org/download. So it's a hands-on workshop. If you don't have the software, it's not hands-on, and you're watching me hack stuff, which is cool, but not nearly as cool as hacking it yourself. So I'm going to assume you all have this right now and go to the next slide. If you don't, it's in the chat. Christopher, if I need to reach out it, please go ahead and reach out. Now, this is the talk so I've been I'm going to just kind of jump to about me before I get started. I'm a cybersecurity risk executive. Monday through Friday I wear a suit, and I was called an executive consultant. I consult the CISOs and the C-suite and venture capitalists on cybersecurity. After work on the weekends, I put on my black t-shirt and I do security and privacy research where I specialize in websites and medical devices. I've taught workshops and spoken at DEF CON B-sides all across the country, from Puerto Rico to Las Vegas and other cons. If you look at me, I'm up there in years, and I reached a point in my career now where I spend a lot of time mentoring and teaching and coaching young people. So if you're interested in the career in cyber, particularly in offensive security testing, please do reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to help with resumes. If I can help you get a job, let me know. If I can be of any assistance, just feel free to, any kind of question, reach out. Honestly, I probably review about 5 or 10 resumes per month for young people I've never met, and I love it. So what we're doing today is, for about close to 10 years now, I host what's called the Bad Santa Hacking Adventure. Just ignore the name's a little bit often. But what I do, I'm going to jump up, and I'm a Spartan and Bear alumni. I have a daughter right down the street for most of you who's an Occidental. But what we're doing today, for those of you who want to enter the field, to be a quote unquote hacker, the career path really starts off. Most of you enter being a security test engineer or vulnerability analyst. You're going to run automated tools, and the way you're going to progress and grow is by vetting those findings, reviewing those findings, and making recommendations. So you're going to start here, and your focus will be on running tools and vetting, and you'll do some light consulting. From there, the typical career progression, you'll become a pen tester, ethical hacker. And the evolution here is, instead of just running tools, you're going to start to use your own skills, your own judgment, your own intuition, but it'll be against a set framework or checklist. You're going to have rules of engagement, you'll have objectives, and it'll be fairly prescribed. And what you're going to, the leap you're making here is, you're going from just kind of knowing about the tools, really knowing about how applications work. But here you're going to want to learn the fundamentals of coding, the fundamentals of the architecture, fundamentals of administration, and your knowledge is going to progress where you're learning about the things you're hacking. And what I do is I do a lot of coaching getting to here, because most people, this is what they want to get to, the bug. They want to do the bug bounties, they want to do the research. And the final step here really is kind of abandoning your use of tools and moving to your critical thinking, using observational skills, and I call it being, curiosity borderline on obsessive compulsive disorder. So what we're doing today really is we're going here, and I understand that's a leap for a lot of people. And when putting out this, I did this for Cal Poly Pomona a few months ago. And what I do is, because it's only about an hour and a half right now, it's not enough time, I host a couple other workshops. And let me just go ahead and let me bring this up into the chat. So if I go here, ignore my password list. But what I've got, I'll put this in chat, is this, what I'll do is Wednesday night at 7 o'clock Pacific time, what I'll do is I'll host a follow-up workshop, and we can either work on this some more. What happened last time, and I was really okay with it, was they just wanted to learn hack stuff. There was a bunch of people there who were just starting their journey, and they had a bunch of questions. We practiced cross-site scripting, we practiced SQL injection, we practiced authentication bypass. Anything they really wanted to do, we worked on. And let me try to get back to the chat. What I'll do is, at the end of this, I'll put it back in chat. When I'm sharing it out of Callylytics, I can't see your chat. So what we're going to do next is we'll go there. So Christopher, any burning questions we have right now, or can we move on?
No questions have been raised yet.
Okay, very good. So
I will, if any questions do appear, I will chime in.
perfect. Thank you so much. So this is something this. So I'm part of the NICE initiative, National Initiative for Cyber Education. That's part of the federal government project to address the cyber security skills shortage. And you know, this a lot of you have probably seen this, but there's a serious shortage of skills in the industry. And the frustrating part of this for me is it's a catch-22, because there's a shortage of trained cyber people, and going from your college to your first job can be a difficult leap without a lot of experience. The one thing I do is I've been pushing people for is really internships and practicums. And what I want to encourage you guys to do is be really proactive and be aggressive. So don't wait to find an internship. Start making calls and offer yourself. Figure out what projects you've done at school, what you have to offer, no matter how big or small, and start asking people in the industry. You know, can I volunteer for a project at your company? And even if it's just a few-week project, a few-month project, what you do is you get your foot in the door. You can put on your resume, the recommendation network. But I want to encourage you all to be very, very active in seeking out these opportunities. And that's the last thing. Now we'll jump ahead. So this is me. Now, I'm going to assume most of you at this point have downloaded the ZAP software. If you haven't, keep trying to get it downloaded, follow along. What I'll do is I'll stop during the prog. I'll stop and check people if they haven't got started. So I'm going to launch ZAP right now. For those, I'm working out of Kali Linux. The question came up earlier on what tools I use. I'm actually using Kali Linux because a lot of you are. I don't use Kali Linux a lot. It's handy and quick. I tend to, because I don't use all the tools in Kali, I used to use them. I use Ubuntu and install the ones I use. So when you first launch Kali, go ahead and launch it, and you'll get to here. And if you're just playing around, you don't have to persist your session. But if this is a real engagement, we would want to actually name it and label it. So go ahead and click here. I want to name and location. So check that box and click start. And give it whatever name you want to. And what this will do is it gets pretty big. It'll create a file with everything you've done here. It's going to capture every web request you've made, every note you've taken. It'll capture all of it. And there's a couple things to pay attention to. Some of you will look at this, and the very first thing you want to do is go from standard mode to attack mode. Don't do it. Attack mode will attack everything it sees, and you go to jail. Standard mode gives you all the control you need. It's aggressive enough, but it won't attack things unless you tell it to. The problem with attack mode is, if, for example, there's a Twitter link or a Facebook link in the page you're testing, it'll start attacking Twitter and Facebook. You want to maintain control of your tools the whole time. Then go ahead here and under session properties. You see session properties. Click that, and the reason I do this is that any reports you run, this will be the name. So go ahead and give it a name. And this isn't critical or necessary. It's just a best practice like you should do. And the most important part of this workshop is our test page. I don't know if I can get to the chat at this point. It's a little frustrating. I may have to stop sharing here, but I'm going to stop sharing so I can put this in the chat. I don't know any other way to do it without stop sharing. So here is the site we're going to be testing. And for those of you who are interested in the follow-up session, I'll go ahead and do that now. On Wednesday at 9, I'm going to have a session where you kind of tell me what you want to do. We can either just practice general pen tests, or maybe work on the escape room some more. So go to torohack.badsanta.com. And Bad Santa is, every year I write a hacker escape room. I've been doing this for about 10 years. It's usually in person. It involves a bunch of sushi, beer, and pizza. This year I put it online. So now, go to your Zap, And there's a target here with a lightning bolt. Click on that, it'll pop this up. And you are able to explore. Go ahead and put your perlhack.badstandard.org there. So http://perlhack.badstandard.org. Uncheck the box for enable HUD. It's a useful tool, but we're not using it today. And when you're all caught up, we're going to click launch. And when we click launch, it's going to actually launch the browser from ZAP. It's not going to, and the reason we're doing that is usually when you have your browser, when you launch a browser and you make a web request or submit a form, what happens is your browser goes directly to the web server for the most part. What we're doing here is we're having a browser that instead of going to the web server, it's going to the ZAP proxy and it's intercepting all of our traffic. So any username you want here, any password you want, it doesn't have to be complex. But go ahead and any password you want to put here, go ahead and register. So any username, any password, and then click register.
Somebody asked, wait, what are we typing where? Can we please get a screenshot? It's moving very fast and I'm not following.
Okay. So Christopher, what was it? So what was it? Where do we
Fox said, wait, what are we typing where? Can we please get a screenshot?
Yes.
It's moving very fast and I'm not following.
Okay, so I'll slow down. So what you're going to do is you're going at your main ZAP screen is going to these three boxes: automated scan, manual explore, and questions.
Mike, you might need to screen share your screen. We're not looking.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Thank you.
About.
That's exactly what happened. Thank you. That is exactly what happened. Hey, Christopher, I'm not able to share at this point. I'm not sure what's going on.
You can't share screens. Keith.
Yeah, let me try something. Okay, try sharing now.
Here we go. Yep, thank you. Okay. So I'm sorry, but thanks for speaking up, folks. There we go. So I'm not sure where I stopped sharing. So this is the ZAP proxy. And what I'd like you to do is on your main screen here, you'll see these three boxes. If for some reason you don't see these three boxes, click on Quick Start. If you see up here, there's a goal there that says Quick Start. Go ahead and click there. That'll always bring you back to this screen. Now, there's the automated scanner. That's a really powerful vulnerability scanner. It's out of scope for today. But the next box is this manual explorer box. If you click that, what it will do is it'll give you a couple text areas. The first one, type in perlhack.badstandard.org. Make sure you include the HTTP. So http://perlhack.badstandard.org. Uncheck the box for the HUD. You don't need that. And whenever you're ready, click on the launch browser. So when you click on the launch browser, you'll get the registration page. And it's a hacker escape room. There's no protected data. Any username you want, any password you want, if you pick a username that's taken, it'll tell you, don't worry about complexity, don't worry about any of that. Whatever you want to use, feel free to use. Now, if anyone is not here who wants to be here, go ahead and let Christopher know right away. I'm going to go ahead and continue. So when you get here, you'll see this screen, and this is the beginning of the hacker escape room. And the whole thing was planned very carefully. And none of you will finish it today in the hour and a half we have for time to finish. But please come back here. But a few things I want to talk about right away is there's a couple things. There's a scoreboard. See this box down here in the lower left hand corner will give you your score. It'll tell you what you found, what you haven't found. And one of the reasons this is important is you'll see it's not linear. So when you go back to this screen, the first thing your brain will do is want to follow the path. It's just start here, finish here. And if you do this, and if you complete it, you can, but you're missing a big part. You're missing a bunch of information. So if a part of being a good security researcher is not being too linear, it's exploring everything. So when you look here, there's also a team scoreboard. If you click here, only 2 people have logged in so far. Which it's like, so Christopher, anything in the chat we need to know about at this point?
There are a couple of people that are saying that they're in. It seems like currently there are 4 people.
Okay.
Nobody has asked any more questions regarding how to enter. Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to give people another couple minutes to log on before we keep going. But just to explore this, levels you completed will be clickable. And if you haven't completed that yet, it's not clickable. So look at my mouse cursor. You can't get to places. There's the scores here. There's the about. There's prizes. There's teams. There's lots of things to click. So if you come back to this, you'll want to really explore and find things. There's still a few prizes out there as well. Most of the prizes have been claimed, but there's a few things like some shot glass, deck of cards that haven't been claimed yet. And honest, if I can mail those to you when you find them, hit me up and I will mail those prizes to you. Let's see who's all here so far. So I have 3 people besides myself who are in. I'm assuming there's more that want to get in. So for those who are in, let's go ahead and click on the school bus to keep things moving forward. And this is the first level. And with each level, you'll see a few things. On the left-hand column is your navigation menu. The locator button will always take you back to the map. Any level you've completed will be clickable. If it's not clickable, it'll be a question mark. And if you click it, it tells you can't go there. You can always get to the scoreboard here, and the bottom one will log you out if you want to log out. And then over here, you'll always have some hints here and some hints here. So for those who are following along, it's that, level 1 is catch the bus to the airport. If you haven't picked up on this yet, the whole thing is about getting bad Santa to DEF CON is this year's thing. So, bad Santa this parked his car, needs to catch the shuttle to the terminal, risks missing his flight. Simply help bad Santa get the first. So if you click here, we're going to click to catch the shuttle bus. What happens is bad Santa missed his bus. Something happened where we clicked the link, but instead of catching the bus like we expected to, we didn't catch the bus. So for those who are in and participating, go ahead and click this and get to where you should have caught the bus. Now we go back to our ZAP proxy. So open up your ZAP proxy, and there's a few important things here. What the ZAP proxy does on the left-hand side here under sites, this lists everything your browser has reached out to do. Is listed here, and you'll find some background noise. For example, the keep alive to Mozilla is something we don't care about, and Twitter is something we definitely don't care about. So if you're following along, go ahead and highlight those like I did. Right-click them, and that will open up a context menu. So highlight, right-click, and go to exclude, and say exclude from proxy. So what I did is I highlighted, right-click, exclude, and then proxy. And when you click this, those will go away. Then click OK. So we've gotten rid of the noise now. The background noise is gone. And if you go here, what you can see if you follow along is we logged in here, and you can follow along in the 2020 and you can see where we registered. You can see where the scoreboard was, and you can see level 1. And up here, there's the request and the response. Now, with HTTP, remember, when your browser will make a request, and it will send your HTTP header information up here, who we are, what we're using, our host, things like that. And if it's a form, if it's a postage form, the header will also include the posted data. In this case, it's just a simple request. And the response is what the web server returned. So if you look here under level 1, you don't need to actually know HTML to understand this. You can see our first page. And to go back, I'm going to jump back and forth. If you open up your browser, we clicked the link that said catch the bus. And that was supposed to take us to start.php. If you look at the bottom, my browser, that link is supposed to take us to start.php. Now, when you click that link though, what you may have noticed is instead of being start.php, it's missed-bus.php. So something happened between us clicking the start, clicking the first link, and getting here. So when you go back to that, and I'll tell you all right now, it's real, usually I do this in person. I can talk to you, I can see your faces, you can ask questions. Talking without hearing you or seeing you is really awkward. I miss it's hard not being face to face. But what we did is we clicked on start, and according to Zap, our browser actually went to start.php and somehow ended up on missed-bus.php. So what I want you to do is to look at start.php, look at the code, and let me walk through there and see if there's anything in that code that makes you think your browser would be redirected somehow to missed-bus.php. Go ahead and look at this code, and you don't have to be a coder to find it. Go ahead and just look at that code and see what you see. And there's also some other important things there. While you're doing that, it looks like there's 12 chats now. I'm going to go ahead and take some questions while you all take a look at that.
Oh, well, there is one question. It
Yeah.
was not really related to this, but to the workshop, but they wanted to ask you, what inspired you to have this job?
Oh, that's a great question. So I was a computer nerd in high school, and by high school I mean late 70s, early 80s. I'm pushing 60, and I actually hacked my first computer in 1979. And other people my age wanted to learn the code, wanted to learn to build stuff. For me, I just couldn't get over wanting to bypass things, break things, and it was just a real curiosity. So in the early days, when and then I got degrees in mental health. I spent the first half of my career actually in the mental health field. And the more burned out I got in mental health, and the more I wasn't liking it, I would come home and I would program code and hack to help with my burnout. And one day back in the very early 90s or mid 90s, I woke up one morning and said, I can't do this anymore. I can't do mental health. I want to work with computers. And there's no pen tester was not a job back then, and hackers were people that went to jail. So I actually quit my job and went to Berkeley and took a bunch of computer classes. And got my first job right as the internet was starting. So my first job was, I was hired because, and this is an exact quote, the hiring manager said, there's this new thing called the internet. I think it'll be big someday. I want someone who understands it. So I quite literally got paid to learn about how the internet works, free.com. It was the ultimate right place at the right time. And I built web pages. Back then it was what we call full stack developer, now used to be called programmer analyst, where you built your own servers, admin your own servers, supplied your own software, you wrote your own software. So I managed a team of full stack developers. And back in the late 90s, I was invited to Microsoft's campus. And it was before security was a thing. And I drove to Microsoft's campus, and on stage, a bunch of us were like me. We're all wearing suits. We're all corporate America, so there was a young man who was wearing all black. He was wearing black eyeliner, black fingernail polish, black shirt, black socks. I guess is what God can get. And right on Microsoft's stage, at Microsoft, he says Microsoft sucks. And he opens up on this projector. He had a web browser, he had the file system for the web server, and he was showing the admin console for Microsoft SQL. And he said, who here thinks your application is secure? And we all raised our hand. And this is before SQL inject was even known. Using only his browser, he essentially dumped the database and shared out the C drive and took over the file system using only the browser. And at that point, I knew what I had. At that point, that was it for me. That was my calling. I've been doing that all my life, but without it being legit. And I went to him and said, how in the world did you do that? How could I stop that? And I became a security evangelist at that point. And ever since then, I've been doing penetration testing. My career is mostly in product security. I help secure products. I help test products and do a lot of consulting. So that's my story. For young people, now though it's a different world, what you really want to do is you want to have your own homeland. Start off with vulnhub.com. Start with those practice images. I know those are hack the box. And what you want to do is you want to get proficient with those. And after that, what I really work with people on doing is go to Amazon.com or go to Alibaba or anywhere and buy a bunch of cheap connected medical devices. Buy a connected scale, buy a connected thermometer, anything you can, and start hacking those in your own lab and start publishing those. To get a job as a security tester, you have to have a proven track record. And that means either on BugCrowd or HackerOne, the bug bounties, you've proven yourself, or you've been doing your own research, you've documented. So your career path right now really is start getting some scores on BugCrowd or HackerOne, bugcrowd.com, HackerOne.com, it's ONE, not an F1, or start hacking your own stuff. And that's really the career path. And this is a very short workshop and the focus of the workshop. If you want to hit me up on LinkedIn, I'm happy to work with you on that. But to get back to the workshop, what you want to look at here is,
Let me chime in. Somebody seems to be having some issues. They're asking, what if get missbus.php and get start.php aren't appearing for me?
There's a couple things that may have happened. If you're using your own browser, it's not going to be going to the proxy. So when you go through Zap, go to your start menu, and you have to launch your browser through here. What that does is essentially your browser now, all the traffic is being proxied through Zap. So Zap can get. If you opened up your own browser independently of Zap, Zap will not be intercepting your traffic, and Zap can't see it. So that's the most likely cause. If you are using Zap's proxy, just I don't remember the answer for you. Try refreshing your page. But the most likely cause is using a browser outside of Zap. So as a reminder to get there, click on start, type in what you want, and click on start browser. That's how you'll get there. Any response to that, Christopher?
They said, yes, I launched through Zap. Most of the pages are appearing, but not those two.
Okay. So what I would do is go back to the first page. Hold down your shift key, and when your shift key is held down, click on refresh. And what that'll do is that'll force your browser to undo anything that's cached and re-request everything. And hold your shift key down when you click on check the bus. So that doesn't work then. Check the bus and hold your shift key down and refresh that as well. And that should do it. While we wait, let's just see how we have. We have a few more, but not a lot. So don't be intimidated. Download the software and don't be intimidated by it. It's once you get the hang of it, it's very easy to use. So if you go back to the response here, HTTP makes a request and gets a response. If you go to your you go to your start page, you'll see start. You'll see two things. And the first one is a redirect. And the first one that says after 0 seconds, so immediately, redirect them to missbus.php, which means as an end user just using your browser, you'll never see this. But because we intercepted this, what we see is the user never saw. It says, congratulations, you found a hidden level. So you're going to copy and paste that. So just simply copy that, right click it or Control-C, go back, you're going to copy that, you're going to go back here, and you'll paste it. And that'll take you here. Click on the federal best, and what you'll see is that you now have a new icon to click on, which is this is incredibly juvenile, but it's there's a poo emoji, and this one so I want to make sure people are caught up here. So for those who missed it, in ZAP, when you go to start.php, you'll see that you were redirected after 0 seconds, which means you never saw it. But what you would have seen is this. So copy and paste this, and then you'll end up up here. So everything you're seeing here today is here because it's something that I've actually experienced before. If for those of you who use web vulnerability scanners, like you scan with Burp or Zap or Acunetics, none of those would actually work on this. There's a single vulnerability. It's a single cross-site scripting vulnerability that's there on purpose. But everything we're seeing here, a vulnerability scanner would not find. At least only a pen tester or a manual inspector would find these things. So okay, it looks like we've got only one person so far has gotten level 2. So let's go back to level 1. So for those on level 1, you're going to want to start here, click on catch the shuttle bus, click on try again, and that should give you everything you need in your ZAP. And if you go to ZAP, on the left-hand side, you'll see badcented.org. And if you expand it, there's a subdirectory called 2020. And under that subdirectory is level 1. Under level 1 are all the pages that you went to. What you want to do is you want to go to start.php. And if you click on the request, that's what your browser sent. Your browser made an HTTP GET request, and this is the HTTP header it sent. There's no other content there. And the response it received from the web server, it was a 200 exit code, which meant successful. If we couldn't find it, it's 404, for example. And then you'll see the header up top, and below it is the body. In the body, you'll see what your browser would not show you, but the intercepting proxy got received. Well, I want to go ahead and catch up on this.
There's 2 questions, or I think one was a comment.
Yeah.
One of them is, I'm at level 2 also, but I guess I'm not in your pool. I'm guessing they're referring to the.
Oh, they logged in differently. Yeah, that's okay. What if you logged in on just the main site, not TortoHack, you went to it.
Also, somebody asked, is this software similar to Burp Suite?
Yes, it's almost exactly like Burp Suite. I use both, and it's almost exactly like Burp Suite. Very similar layout, very similar feel. Burp Suite, I pay $3.99 per year. I don't think there's a student discount. It's an annual license for $3.99, and OWASP ZAP is for free. So unless you do this for a living, it doesn't make any sense to pay the $3.99. There's nothing that Burp can do that ZAP can't do. There's some things in Burp that are a little more friendly, something in ZAP a little bit better at. Unless you really plan to pen test for a living or really get certified, it doesn't make sense to pay the $3.99 for it. There is a ZAP community edition that's free, but it has quite a few restrictions. The scanner is disabled and the fuzzer is disabled, for example. A lot of the plugins won't work.
Seems Anissa's having trouble. She's saying, for mine, the browser opens but disappears and Zap isn't registering the windows that were opened.
The browser disappears.
Yeah, browser opens but disappears and Zap isn't registering the
Yeah.
windows that were opened.
Okay. Usually it's face to face. I'd walk to your desk and help you here. This is really frustrating. And someday I'd love to do a face to face workshop for you all. So what I'd suggest doing is figuring out where your browser is going. If you do it, if on most systems, if you hold down the Alt key and click the Tab key, you can walk through what's open. That works for Linux. It works for Windows. Try to find your browser that way. Without seeing your desktop, I don't have a whole lot I can do to help you.
She says she'll try to catch up. She'll try to figure out.
Yeah.
Catch
Yeah,
up.
I'm sorry. If I could see your desktop, I'd walk over and help you. I'm not trying to help you at this point. Anything else, Christopher, before you go on?
No other questions so far.
Okay. Okay. A lot of people are catching that. So if you go back here, the poo emoji is kind of funny. The poo emoji is here because I had a team that every Friday would review scan findings. That it's Friday afternoon. People want to start their weekend. No one wants to be there. And I would make them stay, and they would present their scan findings, anything odd. And we had one attacker. Someone was hacking us, looking for injection vulnerabilities. Now this is when emojis were kind of new. So some old web servers and old character sets and old software didn't know how to handle an emoji in the character set and would throw errors, and they would determine some kind of vulnerabilities for injection. And some hacker using an automated tool flooded our log with poo emojis. So when this person, my staff, shared the log file, it was just thousands, if not tens of thousands of poo emojis. And it was a Friday afternoon. It just made our day, made our weekend. So every year since then, there's a poo emoji challenge. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is a torture test. But if you want to know real world bug bounty hunting and real world research, this level 2 is one of the most realistic for that. So go ahead and read this. I don't like reading it, but essentially what happens is these are seats on a bus. And if you click one that has poo on it, it's red. If you click one that's clean, it's green. And if you just saw what happens, if you click too many reds in a row, or too many reds, you get rickrolled. And rickrolled is when you go to Rick Astley. So go ahead and get it right. Statistically, it's very unlikely you'll get it right. This was designed so you probably will fail without using some help. But go ahead and click a few times and get it wrong, and that's okay. And there's a Rickroll page. Now, once you do that, you'll go back to your ZAP, and up here, if you'll notice, it's no longer level. It's not called level 2 now. It's called something else. And that was to keep people from guessing and level jumping. So when you in ZAP, you're going to be looking for this string and not the words level 2. But when you go back to ZAP, you now have this directory, and you can look here, and what you'll see is a really ugly set of encoding. It's JavaScript that's intentionally designed to be frustrating. And when you do bug bounty programs and do security research, it's not like on the movies where someone, a hacker walks up and just knows what to type. Being a security researcher, while it's fascinating and fun, it can be tedious work. And this is a good example that you don't have to know JavaScript to get this one right. And more importantly, if you knew JavaScript, this is such a jumbled mess, it probably wouldn't help. But what I'm going to suggest here is when you go to your screen, you know that 1 is wrong, and we know that 5 is right. So when you look through here, there's some things that'll be obvious fairly soon. you'll see there's buttons with numbers, and you can assume that those button numbers match the seat. And if you know that 5 is wrong, and you know that 1 and 6, you know that 5 is correct and 1 and 6 are wrong, you're going to look at this jumbled mess and find button 5, for example, and see what's different about button 5. And what I want you all to do is just spend a little time, because you can see there's function A5, which we can assume is button 5, and button 5 when pushed calls the function responded to. If you look at button 1, which would be A1, which is over here, it calls a function too much to. So if I was doing security research, these are the kind of things I'd look for. So what I would do is I would find all the buttons, functions A1, A2, A3, and I would find the ones that call the function responded to. I'd write them on a piece of paper, and that's how I do it. There's other ways to do it too. But for those of you who are here already, once you start mapping those, and if you don't mind, write down the ones you find that work, so I don't have to do this. While you're doing that, is there anyone who needs help catching up that I can help remotely? Anything going on, Christopher?
Seems like Fox is having an issue of it keeps not loading new pages.
Not loading new pages
Yeah.
in ZAP? Why don't you close your browser out and try again? So just simply close your browser, and then when you go back to ZAP, up here is a quick start. So go at the top, you've got that gold arrow for quick start. Completely close out your browser and relaunch it and see what happens. And for those of you having problems, you also let me know if you're on a Mac, Chromebook, Windows, or Linux. Let me know for future reference. The problems you're describing I've never seen before.
Windows 10 Firefox browser.
Okay, so Windows 10, the Firefox browser that's built into that, I'm assuming. Okay, that's good. I use ZAP on Windows 10 all the time with Firefox. That's one of my primary tools. So for that, go ahead and fill the browser completely, and try reopening it through the ZAP console.
They said nope.
No, Pastor, sorry, I'm not sure. I wish it was face-to-face. Stay in touch on LinkedIn. I teach hacking a lot in a lot of different places. I'll make sure you get in next time I teach in Southern California. I don't know what to say. I can't see your browser, so I can't really help you. When you go to ZAP, are you expecting this? You see other sites, because there'll be a bunch of housekeeping. You'll see a whole bunch of garbage here as well. Are you seeing other sites, not the ones you want to see, or are you seeing nothing?
They see the initial Bat Santa and Toro Hack pages.
Odd. Okay. That's really odd. And when you expand, you expand the badsanta.org, it's almost like your proxy stopped working at some point. So if you open up your browser, if you go to your browser on Firefox, and if you go to preferences, open up preferences here. And I'm going to kind of pause here. But when you scroll to the bottom of preferences, you'll get to network settings. It's the very bottom called network settings. If you click on settings button, it'll open up this box. And this will be your proxy settings. They should be set to manual proxy, with your HTTP proxy being localhost port 8081. And then you can check the box for FTP. But make sure your proxy is set to this. It needs to be manual, localhost, and 8081. Now browsers, the default for HTTP is port 80. HTTPS is 443. But what happens here is your browser now is being forced to make HTTP requests over port 8081, and port 8081 is being proxied by ZAP. So if it's not set exactly like this, you'll be stuck. So go ahead and give that a try. And the way I got there was I opened up on the very right-hand side of those 3 lines. If you click that, go to preferences. When you get to preferences, scroll to the very bottom. It's always at the very bottom. Click on settings, and then confirm that. And if it's not set, localhost 8081. So in chat, has anyone gotten all of the bus seats figured out yet?
They said they switched it to 8081, and now it says the proxy server is refusing connections.
Wow. Well, something's really messed up about your ZAP. There's something very broken there. I'm not sure how to help at this point. Usually when it says refusing connections, it means ZAP has been closed. What was it before you changed it?
8080.
Okay, leave it at 8080. That was probably correct then. 8080 was probably correct. So if 8080 was correct, and I'm assuming your ZAP is open and your browser is open, there's something corrupted somewhere. Because if it's 8080, that means the browser is forcing through ZAP. And if the ZAP is open, all I can say is that it's a Windows thing. Try turning off ZAP completely. Go to ZAP and click on File and click on Exit and Delete Session. That wipes it clean. So the second from the bottom, wipe everything clean. Go ahead and try starting from scratch, and then see what happens there. So for those who were working on the poo emoji, what you're looking for is you found what's different. You notice that seat 1 was a no and 6 was a no, but 5 was a yes. But you found things that were yes. And when you go through here, this is very much real life. It's paying attention. It's really paying attention to what's different and using observational skills. Let's take a look at who all has gotten past the poo emoji. Quite a few people. Okay. So for those who want to continue, the correct answers are 2, 5, 7, 8, 10, 13, 14, 16, and there you go. It was 2, 5, 7, 8, 10, 13, 14, and when you're ready, it'll be 16, and we'll be done. Two, 5, 7, 8, 10, 13, 14, and then 16. So FXP2, should we wait for you to catch up? Or are you okay?
They said they're okay now.
Okay. Now, this one's a torture test. So the scenario here is Dad Santa's friend left his bag for him in an airport locker, and he has to find it. So if you look at the hint, it says you don't have to be elite, so that elite is required. So there's some links there, and the links are a hint. If you click the wrong locker, you get rickrolled. If you click the right locker, you can go forward. So one of the ways to do this is to look up, the link. If you click the link here, it'll tell you that in a very rude way that 1337 means elite in hacker speak. So we know that the 1337 is a likely one. And but the non-ones will take you to the rickroll, which is kind of funny. That's part of the scoreboard. If you go to the scoreboard, if you go to your personal scoreboard, it'll tell you how many times you've been rickrolled. I had to clean it. I cleaned up a website. There was a website that was compromised like crazy. The Russians had fully taken it over, and that embedded a bunch of adult web content in it. This person was hosting a website. I think it was legit, but there was also links he couldn't see that were hosting Russian adult content. He found it and had to clean it. So I replaced all the adult content with my rickroll page. So there's all these Russian people looking for adult content who are now seeing the rickroll. If you go to 1337, it takes you to here. And this is another this ended up being the hardest level of the whole challenge. And I didn't think it would be, but read it very carefully. You have a closed lock here, and you need an open lock. So you got a closed lock, you click open lock, it pops up saying open lock. If you click submit, it's the 52 tries. So I don't want, we have limited time here. I don't want to get too over this, but this takes people a very long time to figure out. So for those of you who are still participating, I want to give it some thought. I'm not going to rush you through it, but while you wait, practice. There's a few things here that will help you with that. You can see my browser's gone to all kinds of crazy sites at this point. But if you look here, it talks about, look at the request. You can see where I submitted. I clicked on closed equals on. That I think was what I clicked on that. The response came back, and there's a few things to look at. What you see is go down here, and this is the web page. you've got the image of the closed, the lock closed. Then you have the little form to fill out, and you'll also see that a cookie was set where cookie lock status equals closed. And if we had more time, what I'd do is I'd walk you how to change the cookie to open. That won't work. So we could force cookie to be open. That won't work. That's just a ruse. But what you want to do is you want to spend some time looking at the code, looking at this, and looking at the hint. So the hints are find the open lock. You want to find an open lock. So look at the code, think about it, spend some time with that. And while you guys are focused on that, is there any new questions, Christopher? Anything new?
No new questions have been asked so far.
Okay. It looks like a lot of people haven't been able to progress. Okay, so we have about 15 minutes left. Well, during the last 15 minutes, anything you want to know, now's a good time to ask. Feel free to ask. What I want to encourage you I'll put back in the chat the Wednesday, and on Wednesday what we can do is we can do a couple things. We can like I can't get back to the chat. This Zoom is driving me nuts, but I can't really get to your chats. Here we go. On Wednesday we can dig deeper into the escape room, or we can dig deeper into how to use that for hacking, or we can just hack stuff. Whatever you want to learn, we can learn some SQL injection, some cross-site scripting. So that'll be on Wednesday night at 7. This workshop was specifically for this hacking, but Wednesday can be much more free form.
There is a question that was asked,
Okay.
not related to the bad Santa workshop,
Uh-huh.
but it's are all browsers prone to the same vulnerabilities, or are some safer than others?
That's a great question. So there's a couple things you're worried about. There's the traditional cyber thing about, can someone go from your browser and compromise your browser, either to compromise the browser to monitor your traffic, watch your traffic, or train your traffic, or worse, go from your browser to your operating system. That's the first thing about. The other part of the question is privacy, as far as footprinting and tracking. And there's a hierarchy where Chrome is the least private, and Firefox is one of the better ones. The ultimate one in privacy is Brave. And while we wait, I'll go ahead and share out what Brave is. Brave is a free browser. And for those who can't participate in the bad Santa, I'm sorry. If this is a face-to-face conference, I'd be able to help you much more. But if you can't participate, just for kicks, point your browser to here. This is the Electronic Frontier Foundation, and what they do is they will actually test your browser and tell you how crackable it is. And most of you will find out your browser is fingerprintable at some point. The only browser that's really not fingerprinted is this browser called Brave, spelled B-R-A-V-E. So it's actually brave.com. So from a privacy perspective, Brave is the best. If you're looking to really protect your operating system, they test them every year. I think Google spends the most money making sure they're secure, followed by Microsoft's Edge. they spend a lot of money each year with bug bounties and high-level attention. So from a purely, I don't want my browser to be hacked point of view, Chrome and Edge are the best. From a privacy point of view, they both tend to leak a lot of information. Google knows a lot about you, Microsoft, and Brave. I personally use Brave. Now, if I'm going to a site that I think is suspicious, I'm using Kali Linux right now. So on my screen, I can use my browser, and if they want to hack my Kali, they can go right ahead. It's a, I only use it for pen testing. So if I'm doing something unusually risky, I'll simply use my virtualized image, my Kali image. It's a lot of fun watching payloads that are designed for Windows hit my Linux and crash and burn. Okay. So for those of you that are following along, this, like I said, was the hardest level. I thought it was, when I wrote it, I thought it was the simplest of them. If you go back to your ZAP, you'll see the image was /2020/images/locked closed. What is it you're looking for? You're looking for a lock that's open. What do you have? You have a lock that's closed. So you've got a lock that's closed. You want it to be a lock that's open. What do? I don't think anyone's gotten past this yet. Let's take a look. Vicious Squishy has figured it out. So nice work, Vicious Squishy, whoever you are. For those who have not found it, what you're looking for is a lock that's opened. What you have now is a lock that's closed. What you want to find is a lock that's opened. You want a lock that's opened right near the lock that's closed. Anyone following along who couldn't get ZAP to work but's watching my screen, if you think you know what to do here, put it in chat. But people that are playing right now the game, what they have now is a lock that's open. It's HTML tag for image. The image says lock closed. It's not an open lock. Feel free to put in chat what you think they should try or what you want me to try. So if you don't have ZAP working, go ahead and put in chat what you want me to try, and I will do that. Because right now you've got a lock that's closed, and what you want is you want a lock that's opened. You have a lock that's closed. What you have now is this lock. This lock is closed. What is it you want? What do you want? You want a lock? A lock that is opened. So what we'll do is we'll leave that here. So for those of you who are able to make it work, please come back and finish. I would love to see you progress on this. You know, if we were to go right now here and go to 2020 last or hot wires, that takes, you can see that we've now progressed along and we're here. And we've got 5 minutes left, so I'm gonna leave it here. If you were to go back here, if you were to read through the about, there's hints all over the place. There's little hidden things there. Keep looking at the source code. For Teams, if you want to, you can set up your own event. You can simply go to the Teams page by clicking here, enter your team name, and it'll give you a unique link, and you can actually have your own game. For those of you who are comfortable with that, you can actually, instead of being Toro Hack 5.0, you can have whatever you want, your own scoreboard. You can actually set up your own bad kind of hacking party that way. So feel free to do that if you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable, right? If you want to continue the game with the Vicious on level 5, nice work. Feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn with questions about this. So we're down to 5 minutes now. Any questions I can answer at all for you all? Yeah, once you're all vaccinated, I get my second vaccine in a couple of weeks. Hopefully next year at this time. If you're at a conference on that, please come introduce yourself. For those of you who couldn't get your ZAP to work, keep in touch and I'll make sure you get a training. If you want to train somewhere, wherever you are, I'll make sure you get in because I'd have loved for you to participate. Being remote makes things kind of difficult. So we disable antivirus. So no, there's nothing about what we're doing that will trigger antivirus software. In fact, anything you do that resembles a hacking attack, the Bad Santa website actually has a firewall, web application firewall. So anytime you actually try to hack it, it will actually block you. Oh yeah, so the functionality you see in ZAP, now a lot of what you see in ZAP is available like in the web developer toolkit. It's a lot of it's actually there, and that's a good tool to use in parallel. Some of the things in ZAP is ZAP has some automated scanners. So for example, you know, if we wanted to attack something, we could go to Bad Santa, and we could absolutely you know, run a full vulnerability scan against it. If you actually look down here under alerts, it actually passively finds things. So under alerts, it's found over here. You'll see it found 0 high, 5 medium, 10 low, and 4 informational findings. So it's actually finding things. It's not going to find the real cool, necessarily hackable stuff. But if we were to actually scan it with the active scanner, you know, right click, context, and you attack active scan, and we can do this on Wednesday and to set this up. It'll actually start looking for SQL injection, cross-site scripting, all the real texty stuff. It'll actually find for you, and we can do that more on Wednesday if you'd like. Okay. LA Board of privacy alerts being blocked, and I can't continue. I'm not sure why. I use a lot of privacy settings in my browser. I'm not sure where that's coming from. I'd have to know what software you're using. But if you look at my home, even in my pen testing kits, Bitdefender. I run Bitdefender. Oh, well, Bitdefender will, if you were to turn on the actual exploitation parts of that, Bitdefender would stop it. What we're doing now, I'd be surprised if that was being seen as exploitation. If you tried to scan it or something, you can, if you're comfortable with it, you can whitelist ZAP and Bitdefender, turn Bitdefender for your pen testing. But Bitdefender hasn't typically been a problem for me. I've used Bitdefender as one of the good ones. Bitdefender is one of the most effective ones. Now the problem is if you turn Bitdefender off for your Firefox for your pen testing, that's fine. But if you stop pen testing and forget, Bitdefender will be unprotected. So make sure you're able to turn it back on. I've done that more than once. Okay, we have 2 minutes. I want to thank you all. So I know you've been in Zoom all week for classes. You've been in Zoom all day on the last workshop of the day. I really appreciate you taking the time here. It shows that you really care about the profession and your careers. So thank you very much for coming. Please stay, if I can do anything for you, please stay in touch. I'm happy to help. If you want to come, if you can't make it Wednesday, stay in touch. I do free pen testing workshops fairly regularly. They're really frustrating over Zoom, as some of you experience. Once you're all vaccinated, I tend to go to a lot of conferences that are free. The B-sides, if you're with the B-sides conferences, you'll find that they're all free and they're sponsored and they very much fit my ethics. I teach a lot at B-sides. So if you could participate today and kind of got cheated, let me know and I'll make sure we take care of you next time I'm in your geography. But thank you very much, folks. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Christopher, for being the moderator. I appreciate that. And Keith, if you're still on, thanks for your help. But thank you very much for spending your time after with me. You must be tired by now. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Mike, for teaching this.
Yeah, and I really appreciate it. Good luck with your summers and good luck with your job hunting and stay in touch.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Mike. This has been a really awesome exercise. I think we all had a lot of fun here. So again, just to remind everyone, Mike will be having a follow-up session where screen sharing will be allowed, so you can get more personalized help. It will be on Wednesday, April 21st at 7 p.m. Pacific time. So check the chat if you missed out on the Zoom link. That Zoom link is for that follow-up session. Thank you again so much for being with us here today, Mike, to share your expertise. And thank you everyone else for attending today's event. This is one of our last sessions of the day, but don't log off just yet. We have some more sessions, or one more session in particular coming up that you'll want to stick around for. That is our Toro Hack closing ceremony, which you can find in the schedule, the agenda of our Whova page. So be sure to attend that. In the meantime, that concludes this meeting. So thank you again, everyone, for joining, and I will see you around.